I have spoken at the Utah State Prison 4 times now, twice on the men's side and then twice on the women's. And it's still probably one of my favorite places I've ever spoke at. When I got a call to go back and speak for the 5th time, I was elated. The Utah State Prison has Sunday church services as well as something during the week. It was among those services that I would go and speak. But this time would be different because it wasn't church services that reached out to me. This time it was for a drug addiction program graduation. I was told that not only could I not speak on my religion, but I couldn't even mention God at all. I didn't know if I knew how to speak without talking about God, so when they told me that, I was incredibly confused about why they would even think of me to speak to begin with. I tried to think what I would even talk about if I did accept the invitation, since I felt like I was the most irrelevant speaker they could have chosen. I knew nothing about drug addiction or rehab or anything of that nature. I ended up agreeing, and I spoke on change. I was in their gym, and I sat on this makeshift stage they had just for this ceremony. There were hundreds of inmates sitting in front of me, all in their matching uniforms. This graduation was a big deal. It was hard to get accepted into that program, and it was a lot of work to complete it. But for the ceremony, it was permitted that family members could attend. But I'll never forget the feeling I had when I saw that very few family members came. I spoke on the reality of change, and that went well. I felt good about the things I shared. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but most, if not all, prisons don't have choirs. But for this graduation ceremony, they had this one-time choir sing a song at the closing of it. It was a small group of maybe 15 men that got up, all different ages, some younger than I was and some in their 70s. Some of them were missing teeth. Some of them were just the biggest built men that would just tower over me. And close to all of them had tattoos all over their faces and their heads. Being a New Yorker, I've seen a whole lot of everything, so it's difficult to be surprised or shocked by anyone, but the men that got up were intimidating men to look at. Now, mind you, this graduation was definitely not a church thing and definitely not a God thing. It was a drug thing inmates in prison had to qualify for. But this one-time choir of inmates got up to sing, and I was completely shocked at their choice of song. A child's prayer. I saw these men with their missing teeth and the tattoos on their faces and heads sing and ask, "Heavenly Father, are you really there?" I sat on their makeshift stage and I lost it. The Spirit overwhelmed me in an indescribable way, more than I have ever felt before in my entire life, because I felt so physically that He really was there, that God was very aware of them in that moment and always, that regardless of where they were and what they had done, they were not alone. And I felt so powerfully that they had never been, and neither are we. But we have these times in our lives when we ask that same question. There are some times we can't help but wonder where He is and if He really is aware of us, if He actually cares, and if He even exists at all. It's well known the raging storm on the water that caused the original apostles to yell, "Carest thou not that we perish?" But perhaps we can see more of ourselves in our personal storms and our heavy thoughts and passing doubts and our pleadings of, "Carest thou not that I'm struggling? Carest thou not that this is so hard? That this was unwanted? That I don't deserve this? That this has been going on for too long? Carest thou not that I don't think I can go on? Carest thou not about me?" Like the apostles waking up Christ who was sleeping during what seemed to be a life-threatening storm, we too sometimes find ourselves wondering if He is sleeping through the times where we feel we so desperately need Him the most. We wonder where relief is. We plead for Him to calm our storm because it's as though we may not make it. Or at the very least, we plead for Him to wake up, to be conscious, to be mindful, to be present for our raging storms we're in the midst of. I've been in too many raging storms, wondering too many times if I'll be able to make it, losing my voice too many times because of how loud my pleadings have been, physically aching from wondering if He is sleeping, asking that same question, "Heavenly Father, are you really there?"